What's up YouTube, Jamie the Kid 00 here, and I'm back with Tournament Diary, I do believe 6 now. I'm coming back to you with my second win of my Tournament Diaries, going XO for 4 rounds at a small locals, seeing as our main locals was cancelled and we managed to throw one together. Winning out, just to quickly explain, against first round Evols in a 2-1 victory. Going 2-0 against Junk Doppel, 2-1 against Inzektor Agents, and then 2-1 against Blackwings in the finals, which were Blackwings were ruining everyone's day. So just still watch out for Blackwings; they're still a contender. As you will see in the title, I ran Inzektors. Just going to talk you guys through the list, tell you what went well, what didn't go well. Just generally talk about it as I do in these segments. I ran the 3 centipedes. Just compulsory in the engine. Ran 3 dragonflies, which are just, again, awesome in the engine. I ran 3 hornets. I ended up borrowing one. I had to give it back to him at the end of the tournament. So these were 3 hornets. But there's my 2. I'm borrowing one off of Cupcakey as well, so I need to get that off of her. But these were amazing, as was the Gigamantis that I borrowed, but it's now a hopper again because my Gigamantis still hasn't arrived. So I ran the full 10 card Inzektor engine that a lot of people run. I took Birdman down to attack from my last video because I found that if I didn't get the Inzektor engine off, this card was usually very dead. So I took Birdman down to attack. I went into Underground Arachnid twice over the day, but otherwise I found Birdman not as useful as I would have wanted. I put in a Spirit Reaper kind of last minute because I felt that it was going to be so rogue. I really didn't know what I was going to be going up against, so I thought Reaper would be a safe bet, even if I was just going to side it out Game 2 and all that lot. And Reaper's always good to have, especially when you gain advantage, so you can keep knocking cards out of your opponent's hand. So it's just great to have. I mean, I opened this and managed to net the cards out of my opponent's hand because he set a card and it wasn't warning and it wasn't dust shoot and stuff like that. So I managed to start hitting him turn 1. I ran the full tour guide engine of 2 tour guides. This is the 3rd tour guide. I was borrowing one. An actual tour bus. And a Sangha. I have a funny story about these 2 buses, so I will talk to you guys about that afterwards. But the tour guide engine got me into so many things. Just like imagine those 2 are still here. To tell a story, I managed to I was playing a match against the Inzektor Agent player, and I managed to chain diss his dragonflies after chain dissing his shine balls. I was in quite a tough spot. He had me on the back foot, but with no back row, and he'd used his Veilers. So no, I had D-Fissure out, so he couldn't use Veiler. I went 2 of these into Leviair. Detached for 1 dragonfly, did the whole Inzektor loop, destroying stuff, and then went into another Leviair and sold another one of his dragonflies. Did the loop again and went into a Leviathan, and I cleaned his field and went in from the kill from there. He didn't top deck Dark Hole, so absolutely crazy off of that, which was an amazing play. Dark Arm Dragon won me the final game, game 3 against Blackwings, which was absolutely amazing. This card just puts in so much work with this deck, and it's never dead. BLS, I saw it once. Game 3 against Evols. She had me on a horrible back foot with a Largia and a Serato on her field. And I had BLS in my hand and nothing else. And I top decked. She had no back row, no cards in hand. I top decked a Book of Moon. Managed to set her Largia. Even if she would have negated, it wouldn't have had any effect. And then I managed to drop this and swing over the 2 and gain card advantage for game, which was so helpful. The light engine, I went down to 1 Veiler because I found 1 Veiler was enough in the fact that I could Sangan search it. And 2 Thunder Kings because Thunder King is just compulsory and it absolutely ruins everyone's day. Such a good card to start out with. And to top deck into quite a lot, actually. Where's the traps first? Where's the spells? I've accidentally arranged my deck wrong. Yeah, I'll just put those traps up there for now. Spell lineup was 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Mind Control. That's what got me into the Underground Arachnid against Agents, which let me steal stuff, which was great fun. Book of Moon, which won me my game against Evols. I went down to 2 MSTs. I think I was talking about 3 MSTs in the video. I ended up just deciding on 2 and siding the 3rd. 2 was the perfect brew because I didn't need more than that, really. There wasn't enough back row in this tournament to really warrant that many MSTs. Otherwise, I ran the 1 Allure, 1 Duality because the second one was borrowed off of my girlfriend, so she wanted it back for the tournament, and 1 Avarice. And then finally, I ran the 3 Fissures. You may kind of comment saying, why are you running things like Avarice, Sangan, and all that stuff if you're running Fissures? But with the correct plays, if you time your fissure plays right, a lot of these cards aren't dead. Like things like my Reborns, my BLS, my Dark Arm, none of that was ever dead. Sangan was never dead. So, I mean, you've really just got to time this card. Maybe it was just luck, but it's really timing of your plays with defissure. Usually when you're going in for the kill off of a card, or when you feel your opponent is going to be synchroing. This was nutty against Junk Doppel. I sided out against like the Inzektor agent player, but otherwise absolutely nuts. Onto traps, I ran the Mirror Force for Rogue because it was really a Rogue meta today, so I really kind of felt that running Mirror Force would be a good decision. And it really was. A lot of players ran into it, even the more skilled ones, so this was really good. I'd consider running it more now. Torrential because it's compulsory. 2 Solemn Warnings because they are just so good. And a Solemn Judgment because you've got to run Judgment. You really do. Like, the TG agent player insisted that you shouldn't run. Well, he didn't want to run Judgment because he doesn't like costs, but it's never dead. It's just such an awesome card to have. I understand taking Warnings out, but Judgment I couldn't do. Onto the extra deck. I ran 1 Exabeetle. Thank you to my girlfriend again, who let me borrow it. It never saw play, but it was always just really good to have around as a kind of an accessible extra. I ran 1 Zenmaines because Zenmaines is awesome. It's all play in almost every game. It's really useful when I needed to stall out, really, because my opponents, a lot of the time, wouldn't attack it unless they had a way to get it completely off the field in one turn. So it's just so useful to have, really is. I played 1 Leviathan. I went down to 1, taking a second one out for a Giga Brilliant, which I'll explain in a minute. But Leviathan was perfect to 1. Just can't knock it. I ran 2 Levier. Again, another one borrowed off my girlfriend. Like, I borrowed a lot of cards for this tournament, I must say. These cards are so useful in beating the Inzektors agent player and just winning me loads of games with defissions and stuff like that. Just this is crazy because it makes Chain Disappearance obsolete. It makes if my opponent Chain Disappearances me, it's almost a plus as long as I have a tour guide and a defissure, which means there's no Veilers coming out. These are just absolutely nutty. And like literally moments before Locals was about to start, I've been talking about how I really wanted to get a hold of a Brilliant to test out, and my girlfriend did a trade for me. Managed to pick up one of these for like a Surface from Generation Force. Yeah, and this one's Italian, so I love foreign cards. So this one's great. Numero 20 Giga Brilliante. So it was just great to have this. I didn't play it, but I like it as an option. I'm definitely going to keep it in for playtesting. Definitely in next Locals, because I'm probably going to run this again. And my final Xyz was Utopia. And then otherwise I ran the 1 Catastor, 1 Hyper Librarian to deal with Catastors, the Underground Arachnid, which was the only synchro I actually used, Brionac, Black Rose, Stardust, Trishula, and Mr. Worm. The Mr. Worm I really wish was a Locomotion Gen X. This card put in a lot of work because I managed to Underground Arachnid the Junk Doppel player's Stardust, because I had no ways of getting rid of it. And then I went, hang on a minute, I have a Birdman and I have an Inzektor on the field. So I just summoned Birdman. He had no responses. And I went to this and managed to control a Stardust for game. Well, for what became game later on. So, like, it's an absolute epic card in this deck. I recommend everyone run it if they run Birdman. So nuts. So nuts. Extra deck wise, this is in reverse, but screw it. I ran 3 Royal Decrees because this was the one thing that this deck really doesn't like is stuff like Solemn Warning that stop its Inzektor plays going off when it's sorted, and Chain Disappearance and things like that. And I didn't side these in any games except for the Blackwing player at the end, which was a really good read because game 2 I'd sided these in, but I never managed to play any of them, and he never actually saw any of them. So he kept his 3 Icarus attack. He had I think an 8 to 10 trap lineup going into game 3, and I managed to get 2 of these in my opening hand, and I absolutely shut him out for the game win because he managed to go through 3 of his Icarus attacks face down, like with this card out. So it was just such a good side deck in. I doubt I would have won the game if it hadn't been for this card. So I mean, he even cleared his own field for me after tributing the 1 Blackwing he controlled with an Icarus attack, and then I countered with this. It's absolutely crazy. Such a good read to put that in. I'm really glad I did. I played 2 Chain Disappearances. This absolutely killed the Evol player and the Agent player. This killed the Evol player for getting the by managing to banish the aliases. I should mention the Evol player was my girlfriend, so she wasn't very happy because it was a very close game and she should have won by all accounts. I top decked that Book of Moon, which let me win. So this was so useful. And against the TG Agent player, I managed to get the Dragonflies, which ultimately got me the win, and his Shine Balls, which shut him out on most of his plays. I ran the 1 goes in match because it was all I could find. Never felt the need of it. Useless card in my extra. I ran Mischief for the Yokai against the Inzektor Agent player, and against the Evol player. I used it once. I like it in theory, but I didn't really use it enough to like it enough. Mainly because the Evol player solemned it just so she could get into Solar, which was a good play. It won the game, but I didn't really get enough play out of that. I used the 1 MST. I never sided it in. I sided Foolish Burial in because I sided out my D-Fissures against the Inzektor Agent player. Never used it, but hey, it was a good idea in brew theory. I used 2 Crows, but I never sided them in, so they were dead. I sided in 2 Fossil Diners against the Blackwing player, and I sided in 1 Wangu against the Inzektor Agent player. These were just for the mirror match, really. I didn't like. It was the only card I could see being useful in the mirror match, and Fossil Diner maybe, but it was such a good read. I didn't actually play the mirror match. I only played the Inzektor Agent player, and I never drew it. But for me, this is a really good card. And I managed to bluff him because I dropped one when I was siding in, and I said, I'm not going to side in the Wangus. When in actuality, I sided in the one Wangu, and he had no idea. But yeah, guys, that's been the deck, and just to talk about the review of the tournament, I now have 2 tour buses, because, as you guys will have seen earlier on my channel, I managed to pull, was it this one? Because one of them has cutting marks from when it was took from the press. I managed to pull this one.
You're welcome.
In my box, and I got a bunch of prize packs for winning, just about 3 Order of Chaos packs and some Turbo packs. Pulled rares in every single pack except for the one I gave to my girlfriend, who managed to pull me a tour bus in that pack. So I was so happy. I now have 2 tour buses, and I'm going to hold on to them and see how the meta goes. But yeah, guys, this has been Jamie the Kid with a winning Inzektor deck. As usual, like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to me about the deck. Tell me what you would change, what you like about it, things like that. And I'll see you guys with some more content during the week, and I'll be back next week with another tournament diary. Have a good one, folks. Bye.